So we're back once again, and the goal is 82-0. But today we're going to be doing it with the all-time greats. Wayne Gretzky, you're the first player brought to the team. That's actually perfect. Like, there's 33 different alumni teams we could have started with, but somehow we got the Edmonton Oilers, and that means we're going to be bringing Wayne Gretzky to the team. That's a perfect start if we're trying to go 82-0. So Wayne Gretzky's the first player, the best player of all time. That's the greatest start imaginable. Now we're moving on to the Colorado Avalanche, and now we're going to begin one of the greatest goaltenders of all time. Because we got Wayne Gretzky, a fantastic forward, but what do we need? An amazing goaltender, and Patrick Waugh, you can certainly be the guy for us. Like, of course, with every single spin, we're going to be getting an amazing player, but you're telling me we're bringing Wayne Gretzky to the team and Patrick Waugh in our first two spins? You can't ask for much better than that. Now, I would have preferred anything other than the Minnesota Wild, because they're by far the worst alumni team. Owen Nolan's the player we're going to be bringing to the team. If we landed on the Minnesota North Stars, we would have got 91 Mike Modano, and that would have been great. But nope, we got the Minnesota Wild, so Owen Nolan, you're going to be the player we're adding. Like, out of every alumni team, the Minnesota Wild are the only one I didn't want. We're moving on to the Columbus Blue Jackets, and that's actually another team that has a weak alumni. While we head over to the Columbus Blue Jackets, I just want to say rest in peace to Johnny Gaudreau and Matthew Gaudreau. Gone far too soon. Like, the loss of Matthew and Johnny Gaudreau has definitely hurt every single hockey fan. Like, this is such a big loss in the hockey community, and even though a handful of weeks have passed, it still doesn't really seem real. So the next team we're landing on is the Washington Capitals, and there's a handful of guys we could bring to the team. But you know what? I think it wouldn't hurt if we brought a defenseman here. So Sergei Gonchar, I think you're going to be that guy. Like, I want to make sure that we have forward slots available for Mario Lemieux, Jaromir Jagr, and even the Quebec Nordiques, because we can get an amazing player here. Because the Quebec Nordiques, although they're not in the NHL anymore, they still got some great players we can choose from, such as Joe Sakic, Peter Forsberg, Matt Sedin, and out of all these players right here, I think we're going to go with Joe Sakic, and the reason for that, I know for a fact Peter Forsberg's on a handful of alumni teams, so there's a better chance we can get him later. Because one of the other teams we could have gotten Joe Sakic from, the Colorado Avalanche, and clearly we've already landed on them, so that's not going to be possible. Moving on over to our next team, we're going to be seeing the Vancouver Canucks. Now, from the Vancouver Canucks, it wouldn't feel right to only bring one of the Sedin brothers, so instead we're going to pass them on both of them, and we're going to bring in Roberto Luongo, and he's going to be our backup goaltender. Now, Roberto Luongo as a backup goaltender is an amazing selection. That's also going to prevent us from getting guys such as Martin Brodeur in the future, and this guy right here in Henrik Lundqvist. Now, not being able to select Henrik Lundqvist here is definitely going to hurt. But you know what? There's still some great options available, one of them being Mark Messier, and that's who's going to be brought to the team. I mean, at the end of the day, Henrik Lundqvist is technically one overall lower than Roberto Luongo, so I don't really think it makes much of a difference. So we've got 5 forwards, 1 defenseman, and our 2 goaltenders. It probably wouldn't hurt if we brought another defenseman to the team, but that's not going to happen here. We're bringing in Mario Lemieux. Like, I just can't pass up on a prime Mario Lemieux. I mean, Jaromir Jagr would also be a great selection, but Lemieux's a 96 overall, so I gotta bring in the 96 overall player. Nah, but seriously, we gotta start bringing in some defensemen here. We gotta make sure some good defensemen are coming to the team, and the New Jersey Devils, I know they got one. So we might be sticking in the Metro Division, but I'm perfectly fine with that because the New Jersey Devils do have some great defensemen, and one of those defensemen happened to be Scott Niedermayer, 92 overall. He's gonna be one of the top defensemen on this team. It's unfortunate that we have to pass over Martin Brodeur, but I mean, at the end of the day, we got 2 great goaltenders here. I know we can go 82-0 with those guys. So let's keep on spinning the wheel here, and we'll keep on bringing in players. It looks like the next team is going to be the Chicago Blackhawks, a great selection. Now, the Chicago Blackhawks have definitely got some star players on the team, one of them being Chris Chelios. He's going to be an incredible player to add to the Victoria Vipers. So we're over halfway through the selection. We need 3 more defensemen and a handful more forwards. Eric Lindros would be a nice addition because we can get him from the Philadelphia Flyers. Now, but in all seriousness, how many teams have we landed on from the Metro Division? I feel like we've almost taken the entire Metro Division so far, but you know what? We have a tough decision to make here. Chris Pronger or Eric Lindros. Both these guys are 2 great players, 292 overalls, but I think we go with Eric Lindros here because Chris Pronger is available on a handful of other teams. So we got the opportunity to bring in Eric Lindros here. I definitely want to capitalize on that. The Arizona Coyotes, I don't even know what to say about this franchise. Like, what are we really going to get here? I mean, the Arizona Coyotes have to have some decent players. Like, I know they got Jeremy Roenick here, Mike Gardner, but yeah, not the greatest alumni team, but Jeremy Roenick, he is a 90 overall. He's not going to make us worse. So we're 4 forwards away and 3 defensemen. The next team we're going to be landing on is definitely going to be giving us a good player. We got the Boston Bruins. I mean, to be fair, I'm spinning the wheel of alumni teams. Why would I ever get a bad player? The Boston Bruins, what are they going to give us? Bobby Orr. How are we ever going to survive with only Bobby Orr? Like, I brought 97 overall Bobby Orr, and I was expecting, oh, I'm not going to get an amazing player. It's 97 overall Bobby Orr. Like, the Anaheim Ducks, although they're a rebuilding team right now, who can we get from them? Teemu Selanne. Like, we're just suffering with this team right here. Like, Teemu Selanne and Bobby Orr, how are we ever going to win a game here? We might not even win 40. We might even miss the playoffs. The Hartford Whalers are going to be our next selection, and it's time to bring in Mr. Hockey. So Mr. Hockey from the Hartford Whalers is an absolute no-brainer. Another high overall player. For some reason, I thought he was a 96, but you know what? I'll definitely take a 95. So we're 4 players away from completing leading this team here. The last 3 spins have been amazing for us, and the Calgary Flames, they're going to continue with those great spins. The Calgary Flames have certainly got some great players from their alumni. I'm thinking Jerome McGinley, I'm thinking Phil Housley, Al McGinnis, Theo Fleury, but out of all these players right here, do I go with Jerome McGinley or do I go with Phil Housley? Now, Jerome McGinley, he'd be a great power forward to the team. However, there are better forwards available, and I don't think there's many defensemen better than Phil Housley out there, so we're going to take 90 overall Phil Housley over Jerome McGinley. I guess we'll see how that selection ages in a couple seconds. Like, best case scenario, we can add a couple more 93 overall forwards to the team, but I don't think we're going to be getting that from the Tampa Bay Lightning. Like, I don't recall the Tampa Bay Lightning having super high overall players. Yeah, you got Dennis Savard here, you got Martin St. Louis, you got Brad Richards, but the highest overall is only a 90 here. Like, don't get me wrong, a 90 overall is great, but Jaromir Jagr is still available out here. So we got one more defenseman and one more forward to bring to the team here. The Nashville Predators, that's definitely a weak alumni. Like, the 2 teams I didn't want to land on, the Nashville Predators and the Minnesota Wild, those alumni teams are incredibly weak. But you know what? We do get Peter Forsberg, so I'll take that. Peter Forsberg and UC Saros, because some reason he's on the alumni team and Pekka Rinne isn't. Don't ask me. I will never understand that. So we got one final spin. I guess the Nashville Predators really weren't that bad for us, and this final spin is going to give us the Montreal Canadiens, the perfect ending. So we have to add one defenseman to the team here, and it's going to be coming from the Montreal Canadiens. And who is it going to be? Larry Robinson's our final addition to the team, a 93 overall. We've definitely got ourselves a super team here, no question about it. But can we go 82-0? We're about to find that out. So here we go with the Victoriaville Vipers. Wayne Gretzky, Gordie Howe, Mario Lemieux, Teemu Selanne, Joe Sakic, Mark Messier. There is nothing that can stop this team right here. Defensively, we're absolutely unstoppable. This team's not going to lose. We're not losing any games. However, that's probably not true. We're definitely going to lose some games this season. So how are we going to go 82-0? We'll let you know after this season. So I don't think it's much of a surprise the Victoriaville Vipers were an absolute dominant franchise, first with a 65-14-3 record, but it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that's not 82-0. 65 wins is clearly not 82. Wayne Gretzky was amazing, Mario Lemieux was amazing, Gordie Howe was amazing. The entire team was great here, and the goaltending fantastic for both these guys right here. But how is this team ever going to go 82-0? Well, this is how we're going to do it. After every single season, I'm going to remove the best player from every single NHL team, and I'm going to do that until the Victoria Vipers go 82-0. On top of that, I'm also going to be adding one more legend to the Victoria Vipers every single season. So I can add any of the all-time greats to my team right now, and there's a bunch of amazing options. We could go with Jaromir Jagr, and that's exactly who we're going to go with. But we could have gone with Nick Lidstrom, we could have gone with Jean Beliveau, we could have gone with Maurice Rocket Richard, we could have even went with Martin Brodeur. But nope, I'm going to be going with Jaromir Jagr as the first new addition to the team. But now it's time to make every other NHL team a bit worse. So I'm not going to show every single move here, but now the best player on every single NHL team is going to be sent to the ECHL. Next season, I'll be sending a bunch of guys to overseas. It doesn't really matter where they go, as long as they're not on an NHL roster. So we just lost Sebastian Aho. The next player going to be lost here is Connor Bedard. All of these guys are going to be moving on from the NHL, and eventually we're going to construct an 82-0 team. Alright, so I don't really know if this is a glitch or not, but why does Jaromir Jagr not have any X Factors? We're talking about Jaromir Jagr here. He should have Superstar X Factors, he should have regular X Factors, he should have any X Factor that he wants, but for some reason he has none. I highly doubt that's really going to be affecting the team that much, because you know what, there's a handful of teams that are significantly worse. And which teams am I specifically talking about? Well, the Winnipeg Jets and New York Islanders, because the best player on both of those teams happen to be their goaltender. So the Islanders are without Sorokin now, and the Winnipeg Jets are without Connor Hellebuyck. They're going to be two of the worst teams in the entire league, no question about it. Now, so far, the challenge is actually going way better than expected. We're in year number 2, and we just finished with a 70-10-2 record. We're 12 games away from an 82-0 season. That makes absolutely no sense, but with the offense and defense looking this good, maybe it shouldn't really be that much of a surprise, because we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players. 7 players over a point a game. Like, we had 7 guys averaging a point a game here. That shouldn't be possible. There is no reason one team should have 7 guys over a point a game. The Victoriaville Vipers are really doing something special here, and then to finish it off in the postseason, are we really surprised we're winning the Stanley Cup? I don't think we should be. But since we didn't go 82-0, it's time to add a new player and make every other team worse. So Jaromir Jagr was clearly an amazing addition to the team, helping us win 70 games last season. But you know what? I think we should bring a defenseman to the team, and I know Nick Lidstrom would be the perfect player to bring. He's now our best defenseman on the team, sitting at 94 overall. We might be able to win 75 games this season. After every single team gets worse, it's going to make a big difference. So Nick Lidstrom, you're the next new addition to the team, and now our entire defense is 90 overalls and above. Phil Housley's going to be our weakest player here, sitting at 90, and if Phil Housley's our our weakest defenseman, I can definitely live with the core we have. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I feel like a 70-win season last year was actually a bit of a fluke, and I wouldn't be surprised if we only won like 65 games this season, because the only team that got significantly worse was the Tampa Bay Lightning, as they're the only team to lose their goaltender, Andre Vasilevsky. Every other team in the league still kept their starting goaltender. So Victoriaville was actually a really good team once again. Although we didn't win 70 games, I'll take a 69-8-5 record. That's still amazing. Like, single-digit regulation losses, you always love to see that. Yeah, we lost 5 games in overtime, but what can you do about that? Wayne Gretzky 120 points, Jaromir Jagr 100, Mario Lemieux 95, Joe Sakic 93, and then Gordie Howe's going to round out our point per game players. He's picking up 87 points here. When it comes to goaltending, Patrick Waugh continues to be that guy for us. 8 shutouts, a 915 to 225, or Roberto Longo. I can't really ask too much more from you. Now, the more I think about this, I think this might be an incredibly long video if I'm always removing the best player, because eventually we are going to have to remove backup goaltenders. So what I think I'm going to do, after I remove the 10 best players from every single NHL team, then in the 11th season, I'm just going to remove all backup goaltenders. Because you have to think about it, backup goaltenders are still going to be like 81, 82 overall goaltenders, and we can certainly lose to an 82 overall goaltender. So until teams get down to their 3rd, 4th, even 5th string goaltenders, it's going to be a struggle for us to win every single game. But you know what? Anything's possible here, and with the team looking like this, you never know what can happen next season. So far, when looking at our team, we have all of these players right here, all the way up to Jaromir Jagr. John Belvo is the next big time player up, sitting at 94 overall, and I think that's who we're going to bring to the team here. We could use another playmaker, and he's a 94 overall. Like, I'm definitely not going to turn that down. So it's time for us to go ahead and send the best player on every single NHL team down to the ECHL, and you can definitely tell teams are starting to get weaker. Like, Freddie Anderson's now going to be leaving the Carolina Hurricanes, and who's he going to be replaced with? I'm not really too sure. Probably like a 61 overall goaltender. I'm trying to send goaltenders that are lower than 60 overalls to make it somewhat fair here. So it looks like Cooper's going to be sent over to the Carolina Hurricanes in exchange for Freddie Anderson. So I think it goes without saying the Carolina Hurricanes just got significantly worse. Another team that's going to be getting significantly worse is the Dallas Stars, as they're going to be losing Jake Ottinger and bringing in a 59 overall goaltender. So it looks like a lot of teams are going to be losing their starting goaltender, because the next team to lose their goaltender is going to be the Nashville Predators, as UC Soros is off to the Kansas City Mavericks. Now, I'm not going to lie, with the amount of teams that have lost their starting goaltender, there's actually a good chance we win 75 games this season, because yeah, the next team getting worse, the New York Rangers, they're going to be losing Shesterkin. Goaltending in the NHL is officially cooked. Thatcher Demko is going to be the next goaltender leaving their team. Is there any goaltenders even left anymore? I'm not too sure. Like, every team has lost so many good players now that the league's just a shell of its former self. Josh Morrissey's now leaving the Winnipeg Jets. What has that team turned into? So John Belvo was brought to the team here. A handful of goaltenders were removed from their teams. I'm thinking we could probably win 72 games this season. Like, we won 72 years ago, we won 69 last season, and with about a dozen teams getting significantly worse, I don't see why we can't win 72. Now, although the Victoriaville Vipers only won 68 games, this was actually a pretty special season for the team, because one specific thing happened. Wayne Gretzky 115 points, that's great and all, but the postseason, 16-0. This team was perfect in the postseason, sweeping the St. Louis Blues, sweeping the Anaheim Ducks, sweeping the Colorado Avalanche, and then finishing it off with a sweep over the Columbus Blue Jackets. 16-0, perfect in the postseason. This team didn't lose a single game. They won 16 straight. They were unstoppable. The entire forward core, amazing here. Scoring across the board was fantastic. And Patrick Waugh, you were perfect. 16 wins, 3 shouts, a 945 and a 148. This is almost as impressive as going 82-0. Like, when I went 82-0 with current players, that team at the end of the season wasn't able to be perfect in the postseason. The Victoriaville Vipers, on the other hand, they were able to do something our last 82-0 team couldn't do. Perfection in the postseason. Now, the Victoriaville Vipers basically have every player they could want on their team. Like, we have so many 94 overalls, it's actually ridiculous. The next player we're going to bring to the team is Maurice Rocket Richard. He's one of the few 94s that we don't have here. The next 94 that we don't have, Martin Brodeur, and he might be the player we bring to the team next. Now, the Boston Bruins, although they're going to be losing 90 overall Allmark, they are still going to have 90 overall Swayman. But after next season, when we have to remove another goaltender from the Boston Bruins, that team's going to be cooked. Now, it's really unfortunate to see something like this, but one of the best goaltenders in the NHL, in Jordan Binnington, being sent back to the ECHL, he deserves better than this. So St. Louis, here's a 61 overall goaltender. Not too many teams have 61 overall goaltenders. So yeah, you're going to be one of the better teams in the league now. Is it cheating that I'm giving St. Louis a significantly better goaltender than any other team in the league? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter too much. Our team's that dominant. So at the beginning of the video, there was a lot of teams sitting in the 90 overall range, and a handful of teams being in the high 80s. Now let's take a look at the league. The Edmonton Oilers are down to an 84 overall. The Vegas Golden Knights are one of the best teams, sitting at 89. The Chicago Blackhawks have nothing to cheer about. They're a 78 overall team, and they're going to be the worst team here, but there are a couple 81s. The Ottawa Senators, the Pittsburgh Penguins, the Buffalo Sabres are even an 81. I think the only way we go 82-0 though is once we get these numbers down to the 60 overall range. If we still have teams in the high 80s like the Carolina Hurricanes, we're not going 82-0. So after bringing Maurice Richard to the team here, every single player on our forward core is going to be above a 90 overall. Zero weaknesses. I still haven't gotten over the fact that Jaromir Jagr for some reason has no X factors. For the longest time I just thought that was a glitch. Apparently he just doesn't have any. When it comes to the defense, all 90 overalls. When it comes to goaltending, 290 overalls. So every single player on the team now is a 90 overall. There's no way we don't win 75 games. They almost did it. The Victoriaville Vipers, a 75-5-2 record, 7 wins away from the perfect season, averaging 5.45 goals per game, only allowing 2.27. We actually might be able to do this with backups still in the game. Like if there's only a handful of 82 overall backups, we might be able to go perfect. Mario Lemieux is going to lead the way here, 117 points. Wayne Gretzky 109, Jaromir Jagr 100. Then we're going to have Bobby Orr, Maurice Richard, and Joe Sakic over a point a game here. Gordie Howe, unfortunately, he's going to be 1 point shy of a point a game here. And then when it comes to the goaltending, Roberto Luongo, how'd you have an 18-1 record while posting an .891 save percentage? How does that even happen? But you know what? It doesn't matter. The Victoriaville Vipers are making great strides here. Of course, we're going to be winning the Stanley Cup. We weren't perfect though, a 16-2 run in the postseason, but we're 7 games away from perfection. So we're getting really close to an 82-0 season. Like the Arizona Coyotes, they've gotten to the point where they're playing 53 overall players. When we move over to the Boston Bruins, this is going to be a huge hit for them. They're going to be losing Jeremy Swayman. No way we lose to the Boston Bruins for the rest of this video. I refuse to believe the Boston Bruins are going to be beating us. Let's give them a terrible goaltender. I'm looking at like a 58 overall goaltender. Let's try to find one of the lowest goaltenders in the game. I have no clue why I want to specifically give the Boston Bruins one of the worst goaltenders, but I think I'm going to do so. Here you go. You get Mo. Joe Mo. I guarantee you his name is Joe. Actually, it's not Joe. What are we guessing this man's name is? I'm going to say Jack Mo. Is it Jack? Jared Mo. I mean, I was somewhat close. Obviously, it wasn't going to be Joe Mo, and then Jack Mo also was a terrible guess. Teams are getting significantly worse. I guess that's the moral of the story here. So out of the all-time All-Stars, the only player we haven't added who's a 94 overall and above is Marty Brodeur. So I think we're actually going to do that here. We're going to bring him to the team, and then we're going to have a 94 and a 93 as our tandem. I can definitely live with Patrick Waugh and Marty Brodeur. I mean, unfortunately, Roberto Luongo, you're going to be sent to the bench here. You're going to be a healthy scratch for us, but at the end of the day, I think this is what we have to do. So every season up until this point, we've been sitting at a 99 overall, but with the addition of Martin Brodeur, we've surpassed that, now sitting at a 100 overall team. There's no team in the NHL that can compete with us. Are we looking at 80 wins this season? I think 80 wins is a bit too much for this team, but you never know. We won, what, 75 games last season? Anything's possible. So we got ourselves a dynamic duo when it comes to goaltenders, Patrick Waugh and Martin Brodeur, 2 guys I can rely on. I don't really care who's the starter, although it is going to be Patrick Waugh since he has a 96 overall. You can't go wrong with either of these guys right here. Now, this was certainly a forgettable season for the Vipers. I don't know what happened to us. A 67-13-2 record. How did we get significantly worse? Like every other team in the league got way worse, and we got better by adding Martin Brodeur. But for some reason, we're going to be losing more games this season. Doesn't really make sense. This is actually one of the worst seasons we've had yet, and that's definitely saying something. Like 67 wins is an incredible season, but that's one of the worst seasons this team's had. But we don't have to worry. We still are going to be winning the Stanley Cup here, although it's not going to be in a sweep because the Vancouver Canucks did steal 2 games away from us in the first round. I mean, 16-2 in the postseason is great and all, but Vancouver, they won 2 of the first 3 games, so that was the first time we were ever down in a series. But you know what? We don't got to worry. We're still winning the Stanley Cup. So somehow we became a 0 overall team that made us worse. I really don't know how that works. Now, technically, we could have taken Jacques Plante with that last selection to bring in a different 94 overall goaltender, but you know what? I went with Marty Brodeur because I feel like that's the most fitting here. Peter Forsberg would be a great selection, but he's already on the team here. But you know who isn't on the team? Paul Coffey, and that's who we're going to bring here, 93 overall defenseman. I feel like at this point, though, we really can't make a much better team. Like, I think maybe we bring in Ray Bourque with our next selection. But other than that, the team's almost as perfect as it can be. So I think we're about 2 years away from every single starting goaltender in the NHL being removed from their team, and then we're going to be left with only backups. And looking at some of the overalls on these teams, we're getting very close to an 82-0 season. Like the Ottawa Senators are a 71 overall team. They don't stand a chance against the 100 overall Victoriaville Vipers. So with Paul Coffey joining the team, he's going to be sitting on the second pairing alongside Chris Chelios. The lowest overall is now Scott Niedermayer at 92 overall. I really don't think this team can get much better than what they are right now. Like when it comes to the forward core, the only guy I'm willing to replace here at this point is Jeremy Roenick. Everyone else I'm fine with. So I think we're going to add one more elite player to this team, but after that, we're done done adding players because this is the team we're going to roll with. So the Vipers are having a big bounce back season, another 70-win campaign, 73-7-2. We're getting very close to that 82-0 season. We just need a lock in for all 82 games, no screw ups. Wayne Gretzky 119 points, Jaromir Jagr 109, Mario Lemieux, Gordie Howe, Bobby Orr, Mark Messier, all of the big time players this season. Then when it comes to goaltending, both of these guys are great, but they weren't perfect. Patrick Waugh, 12 shutouts, I'll definitely take that, but 5 losses and 2 OT losses, absolutely unacceptable. You need to be perfect. Martin Brodeur, you need to be perfect. You guys were almost perfect in the postseason, but you're actually worse than you've ever been before, losing 3 games. What are we doing? What are we really doing here? Losing 3 games in the postseason? Unacceptable. So we'll take a quick look at the postseason scoring, but that really doesn't matter here. We're going to add one more superstar to this team, but after we add one more superstar, we're done adding players, because really, can this team get much better? Like, Patrick Waugh posted an .898 save percentage and a .243 goals against and still won a Stanley Cup. Mans is built different. So it's time for us to add one more superstar to the team, and who is that final superstar going to be here? I'm not really too sure. It's probably going to be Ray Bourque. I'm not going to lie, Ray Bourque's going to be a great addition to the defense. And then we actually might end up adding one more player, and that could be Marcel Dion, that could be Brett Hull. 2 of these guys would actually be great for the forward core, especially on the 4th line. We have a 90 overall Jeremy Roenick, but these 2 guys would be great additions. So you remember how I said we would only be adding one more player to the team? I actually lied. Ray Bourque, you're going to be added this season, and the season after that, we're going to be bringing Brett Hull to the team. So a lot of things are going to change heading into next season, because now a majority of the starting goaltenders are going to be gone from the NHL. There's going to be very few starting goaltenders actually left here. So yeah, the league's going to be completely ruined, and the Victoriaville Vipers are going to dominate. So from here on out, the defense is never going to change. Nick Lidstrom, Bobby Orr, Larry Robinson, Ray Bourque, Paul Coffey, and Chris Chelios. The greatest defense you're ever going to see, and a defense that's going to lead us to an 82-0 season. So the Victoriaville Vipers, you should be ashamed of yourselves. Only 68 wins this season. That's absolutely disgraceful. Wayne Gretzky, 116 points, disgraceful. Only 4 players over a point a game, disgraceful. This team was just a giant disappointment. These numbers are absolutely atrocious. A .212 from both goaltenders, a .903 from Patrick Waugh, and a .907 from Marty Brodeur. Despicable. I can't believe I'm seeing these numbers right here. In the postseason, we didn't even sweep. We went 16-3 once again here. The Victoriaville Vipers got to figure it out here, because this is unacceptable. So this is going to be the last time we add a new player to the team, and we already know who that player is going to be. Brett Hull, you're going to be a great addition to the bottom 6 here. 92 overall sniper. I mean, you're not going to make this team worse, but is this team going to be good enough for 82-0? Probably not. But once every other team in the league gets worse, then we have a chance. So as we know, every single team's going to be losing their best player here, but there is going to be one twist. After this season, I'm going to be removing every single starting goaltender from the NHL. I know I said I was going to do that after 10 seasons, but you know what? We're going to be in season number 9. I'm not going to be adding any new players to the team, so I feel like that's a fitting trade-off. By not adding any more players to the team, I'll just take away all starting goaltenders. So we've reached the point where there's only 4 teams left sitting at 80 overall. The Vancouver Canucks, the Vegas Golden Knights, the Toronto Maple Leafs, and the Philadelphia Flyers. Every other team in the league is going to be below an 80 overall, and we even have a couple 60 overall teams. I'm talking the Edmonton Oilers, I'm talking the Ottawa Senators, I'm talking the Buffalo Sabres. So an 82-0 season is very possible. So here's what the team's going to be looking like for the remainder of the video. I have no issue with any of the players here. We have all 92 overalls and above, 0 weaknesses across the board. As long as the league continues to get weaker, eventually we are going to be an 82-0 team. We were so close. We were so incredibly close. First in the entire league, a 78-2-2 record. 4 games away from the perfect season. We've almost done it. Wayne Gretzky, 132 points. Jaromir Jagr, 110. Mario Lemieux, 105. Once we remove the starting goaltender from every single team, or their last remaining goaltender, this team's going 82-0. No question about it. And on top of that, 16-1 the playoffs. Yeah, the Victoriaville Vipers are built different. I truly believe next season's going to be an 82-0 season with all these legends right here. And then to cap it off, of course, we got to go 16-0 in the playoffs. But that part's optional. Like, if we go 82-0 and then go 16-1 in the playoffs, I can live with that. So the Anaheim Ducks are now going to be rocking 250 overall goaltenders. That's tough luck for them. The Arizona Coyotes, it's going to be a tough situation for you guys as well, because now you're going to be losing your backup goaltenders. So you're out of goaltenders. Nah, these 2 teams are cooked right here. The Boston Bruins have already lost both of their goaltenders, so we're not going to remove anyone from them. The Buffalo Sabres, they haven't lost both their goaltenders until now. Eric Comrie, you're going to be leaving the team, and you're going to be replaced with a 57 overall goaltender. Maybe not a 57 overall. I guess it's going to be a 59 overall. So I guess you're not walking away with nothing. Now, I think the Colorado Avalanche might be one of the only teams that haven't lost a single goaltender yet. Francouz and Georgiev are both tied at 84 overalls. So I guess Francouz is the guy I'm going to be taking away here. But yeah, they're still going to have at least one decent enough goaltender where they should be able to win some games. Another team that's going to be losing their first goaltender here is going to be the Minnesota Wild, as Gustafson's going to be lost here, but they still are going to have Marc-Andre Fleury. Now, the entire league is cooked except for two teams, the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Philadelphia Flyers. I guess you could technically throw the Carolina Hurricanes into that category, but just specifically the Philadelphia Flyers and Toronto Maple Leafs. Now, why are these teams somewhat still competitive? They had 3 goaltenders on their roster, so even after removing the starting goaltender and the backup goaltender, the third string goalie was technically on their roster. So yeah, they got 3 goaltenders, so they still have one competent goaltender to play. So as long as the Victoriaville Vipers can beat those two teams starting goaltender, we're going to be going 82-0 this season. So here we go. It's the 82-0 season. I want you to remember every single player here, because all these players right here are about to be a part of something historic. They're going to be part of the 82-0 season. Chris Chelios, I want you playing some third pairing minutes. I don't want somebody who doesn't have a superstar X factor in our top 4. We can't do that. And then when it comes to goaltending, Patrick Waugh and Marty Brodeur, be perfect this season. Now, this season hurt my soul a little bit, not because the St. Louis Blues finished dead last in the entire league. An 81-1 season, 2 wins away from being perfect. Wayne Gretzky 146 points. Of course, we won the Stanley Cup here, but I need to know which 2 teams we lost to. But you know what? At the end of the day, I don't really care too much on which teams we lost to, but I do want to figure it out. So it looks like one of those losses came against the Minnesota Wild. And it's not much of a surprise. They have Marc-Andre Fleury. So we lost a game late in the season here in March. But when did we lose our first game? What if I told you we lost the second game of the season? We lost game number 2 to the Colorado Avalanche. This team right here lost game number 2. How do we lose game number 2? Losing game 82, I understand that one a bit more. You're going to be tired at the end of the season. But game number 2? Nah, the Vipers have no explanation for that. So you already know what's about to happen here. It's time to make every single NHL team worse here. Almost every single team at this point has lost their starting goaltender except for like 3 teams. And those 3 teams are going to be losing their backup goaltender or their third string, whatever they have left. And next season, I can guarantee we're going 82-0. So after removing 10 players from every single team, the league is absolutely cooked here. I have no clue how the Toronto Maple Leafs are still in 82 overall. There's nobody left on that team. So you guys already know who's on the team. I don't need to introduce you to us. We're going 82-0. Let's not mess this up. And let's not lose in the second game of the season. Colorado can't compete with us. Let's not give them that game. Seriously? A 78-3-1 record. We got worse after removing the rest of the goaltenders. We were allowing 1.99 goals per game, scoring 7.23, and we still didn't have an 82-0 season. What's it going to take? Wayne Gretzky 158 points here. Look at all these players over 100 points. Not even over a point a game, over 100 points. This is ridiculous. We have more guys over a point a game than guys under a point a game. We actually might have more players over 100 points than guys under 100 points. That's ridiculous. When it comes to goaltending, was anyone perfect here? Nope. Neither of our goaltenders were perfect, and because of that, we're not going to have an 82-0 season. I mean, Patrick Waugh was perfect in the postseason, but that's not what we're here for. We're here for 82-0, not 16-0. So you already know what we got to do here. Is time to remove the best player from every team. Like, we're down to 82 overall players. I think 83 might be the highest in the league right now. Like, Trent Frederick might be one of the best players. That's how you know the league's completely cooked. No disrespect to Trent Frederick, of course, stick on the ice legend, but yeah, the league is certainly not what it used to be. So Dylan DeMello is going to be the final player removed here. We're going to be going 82-0 this season. I refuse to believe we're not going to be going 82-0. I don't know which team could stop us. We are perfect in every aspect of the game, but somehow we still find ways to lose. So all I ask is perfection. I need a perfect season from this team right here. Perfection's all I ask for. 82-0. So I'm not even going to waste any time here. We're simulating the regular season. We're going to simulate the postseason, and we're going to watch this team go 82-0. Don't lose in the first week here. All right, we should be good. Okay, literally the second I paused the recording, I don't even know if it paused or not, we lost to the Carolina Hurricanes. Nah, this season doesn't count. We're redoing it. All right, let's try this again. 82-0 for the Victoriaville Vipers. Don't lose in the first 2 weeks. So it happened. An 80-2 season. Not an 82-0 season, an 80-2 season. We still haven't been perfect. This team is yet to go perfect. I don't know why we can't go perfect, but we're yet to go perfect here. And to make things even worse, scoring took a massive step back. But on top of that, the Toronto Maple Leafs took 2 games away from us in the Stanley Cup final. How? Just how? I feel like I'm reaching the point where we're just going to have like 78 overall players in the league. Maybe even just 60 overall players in the league. league because it's cooked right now. There is no good players left in the league. Like Shea Weber, Brian Little, and Jacob Voracek are now getting minutes on the Arizona Coyotes because they have no other option. That's tough. Now, respectfully, you cannot convince me there's a team in the league right now that can beat the Victoriaville Vipers. We have 50 overall teams out here. The Montreal Canadiens are one of the best teams at a 70 overall. How are any of these teams actually going to beat the 100 overall Victoriaville Vipers? Who knows, but it'll somehow probably happen. So we've been frauds year after year after year. That ends right now. We are going to win a Stanley Cup. We're going 16-0. We're going 82-0. Nobody is going to stop us. This team right here is perfect. Every other team in the league is the furthest thing from perfect. Win. Just win right now. I'm low-key starting to give up. We lost to the Washington Capitals. How? How is this even possible? We're running it back once again. We're not losing 9 games into the season. And just for a bit of context, this is the Washington Capitals team that just beat us. You cannot convince me this team right here is beating our team. That's just not possible. All right, attempt number 2. Let's try this again, and let's not lose to the Washington Capitals in game number 7 of the season. That was ridiculous. Might have been game number 8. I don't really care which game it was. We're not losing to them again. You know what? It was meant to happen this season. Everything lined up for the Victoriaville Vipers to go 82-0, and that's exactly what happened. The Victoriaville Vipers, an 82-0 season. We were perfect in every aspect of the game, winning 79 of these games in regulation, only 2 of them going to overtime. We could have lost those 2 games, but this team locked in, averaging 7.48 goals per game, only allowing 1.45. We were perfect. But I do want to point something out. 82-0 gives us 164 points. And who led our team in scoring? Brett Hull, a St. Louis Blues legend. And what did he do? He picked up 164 points. This man was the best player on the team, but look at the rest of the scoring here. Look at all the players over 100 points. It's ridiculous. All the players over a point a game here. How many players do we have below a point a game? Not too many. We had 7 players below a point a game here, and of those 7, Larry Robinson picked up the least amount of points with 52. Our lowest scorer had 52 points here. Patrick Waugh, perfect, picking up 16 shutouts. Marty Brodeur, perfect, 6 shutouts from him. The real question is, did any of these guys score a goal this season? I guess not. I mean, Patrick Waugh picked up 2 points. Marty Brodeur, he's picking up 4 here. And on top of an 82-0 season, what did we do in the postseason? Not 16-0. We actually lost 2 games to the Winnipeg Jets. At one point, we were tied with the Winnipeg Jets, 2 games apiece, but we ended up coming out on top in that series, winning back-to-back games. But how did we go 82-0 and then proceed to lose 2 games in the postseason? Not 1 game, but 2 games. Like, how does that even happen? But it doesn't matter. The Victoriaville Vipers are perfect here. We're Stanley Cup champions, and this team finally did it. This team of legends, perfect. In every aspect of the game, they were perfect, and now they're champions, and they certified themselves as legends.